Hi everybody, it's Lace, and we're in R50, and we are just basically two launches or two game updates away from official launch. So, one thing I do with every game I play is I look at RNG and I look at what the possible seed mechanism can be in a game. Now, game developers are not going to tell you what this is, but sometimes you can intuitively figure it out. When I talk about seeds, I'm going to go into some nitty gritty here, and your eyes may glaze over on mathematics and computing and things like that. But it's important to kind of understand these basic concepts if you already don't. There's no such thing as a true random number generator in the computing world at this time because a computer is set to produce the same output no matter the input. Now, what makes a random number generator work is what's called a seed value. And this value then randomizes the rolls and output. So let's say my seed number is 56, and I'm totally making this up. If my seed number is 56 and your seed number is 56, every time we roll something, we're going to get the same results. I get a 1, you get a 1. I get a 5, you get a 5. That's what a seed number does, is it kind of sets the order of the numbers that are going to come out of the random number generator. Now, there's different ways that folks can manipulate these things to try to make them seem more random, but technically, there's no such thing as a random number generator. Also, when you're looking at percentage chances, folks will go, well, my percentage chance was 27%, and I'm only getting 10%. Maybe at that point in time, with your seed and that sequence of numbers that was generated from your seed, that's true. But over an infinite amount of time and infinite amount of rolls, you will get the 27%. And that's why folks can come across this feeling that the RNG's broken, or I'm unlucky, or I'm lucky, or, things of that nature. Now, there have been some games in the past that were actually implemented poorly, where the random seed or the seed for a character, let's say, was generated at character creation. I can't remember which game this was, but it was a huge flaw. And you basically had lucky and unlucky characters. And that's, again, depends on the course of time, because the same seed number, again, will generate the same sequence of numbers. Based on how this works, but it could be perceived that you had lucky and unlucky characters that were created. That was later fixed in that game, and again, I don't want to point fingers or mention or anything, but that did occur. Now, most of your developers today know to avoid that, and instead of using some kind of static seed number, they truly will use something random to try to seed it. And one of the things, like I said, I always try to do is figure out what it is that reseeds it. Because based on that seed, I tend to find I can get those lucky streaks or unlucky streaks, and it depends on, do you want the high number or do you want the low number? It depends on what you're doing, as to whether you want the high or the low. So the seed number might be great for crafting, but it's really bad for hunting, or vice versa, or, whatever. It just depends on the system and the way it's used. Because if you think about trying to roll a random number between 1 and 100, sometimes you want the low end of that, sometimes you want the high end of that, and stuff like that. And then also, they can also do something, let's say, I don't know, let's say your percent chance was 95%. They could say your chance of success equals the random number plus 95. So if you roll a 1, okay, you're good. If you rolled a 0 or negative or something, it just depends on how exactly they're doing the math. And that's going to, depend on the exact system, depend on the game, depend on the developer. What I really want to talk, though, about is the seed itself. Now, some common ways that I've found that developers will reseed, and again, I'm not saying this is how Shroud does it or how Game XXX does it. It can be with a login. It can be with a system reboot. It can be with a zone change, for instance, in this game. It could be even the approach to a crafting station. And then again, time of day. Now, right now in crafting, time of day does not affect your success chance. but there has been talk of that. And the way I think that this would be implemented, and again, just guessing, is let's say, you had some random number seed and your roll was a 56, and let's say your success chance was a 60, but because it's night, you get a +5 bonus to that. Again, using just raw guessing. That means that boom, I would have success at night making this, where if I did it in the day, I wouldn't. So I would see time of day things as a way to bump that number if you're looking for a number increase, or if you're looking for a number decrease, depending again how they have the math. It would do the opposite. It would take it down, meaning you're successful or not successful. Um, Theories, but things to think about. Again, no such thing as random numbers. But what you can control is your fate somewhat and your perception, or what, could be called the placebo effect. If you keep doing the same thing over and over and getting the same results, that's the definition of insanity, right? So why not change it up? So for me, I try to, quote unquote, reset my seed. And again, it's using these random things. I haven't for sure identified it in this game yet. Actually haven't spent a ton of time trying to do that. In other games, I've literally spent a month trying to ensure that I have the right way of resetting that seed number. And then I'll first start out for 6 months. I'll tell folks, do this, do that, do the other. If you're feeling unlucky, try this. I don't have it identified, so I can't tell you what that is right now. And that, some people may think that's a hack, but it's not. It's just resetting your luck, because the seed that I have right now, even though I did it 100 times and had really poor results, it doesn't mean that the next 100 times I do it wouldn't have been great. But then I went and reset it, and I have the perceived or placebo effect of thinking I changed my fate. Now, talking about RNG, it's kind of funny because it's almost the same thing that they're now really starting to explore in things like Facebook and whatnot and the other. And that's the endorphin rush of somebody likes your idea, likes your video, likes your Twitch stream, likes your Instagram, whatever. You get a little rush from it. Well, the same thing happens with RNG. And let's say I'm making 100 things. And if 90 of them come out exceptional, oh my, I've just gotten a huge amount of endorphin rush. But if only 47 out of 50 and I had a 50-50 chance come out, I feel deflated. And that's, again, kind of almost a placebo effect with the RNG, because RNG, it doesn't really care what you feel. It's just going to do what it's going to do. But when it works in your favor, you feel better. You get that endorphin release, just like a Facebook like or something. So, how can you make your game time give you the biggest rush? It could be possibly from trying to reset your fate, reset your luck, and reset your seed number. But you always have to keep in mind that resetting it at that one moment in time might have been the breaking point, where the next 25 were going to be exceptional. And you went and you reset it, and now you got 8 and you think you did good, but you might have had a string of 25. But you don't know that, so it doesn't complicate your mind unless you overthink it like me. And I'm like, I went and tried to reset this because it was all bad, and now I got so much and it seems better, but what if? You could go literally insane just trying to think about the what ifs based on a seed and based on the predetermined rolls that are going to come from that seed. So in closing, to go over the RNG, I know there's like huge amounts of forums about the third enchant is broken and this and that, and it's like, I don't know. I think at GM it's only like 46% chance or something like that, which is less than 50. But again, you have to remember that over an infinite number of times, it's going to be 46%. So you could get that string based on your seed where 46 of 46 at 95% fail. Well, I think I said that wrong. If it's 46% chance, you could get a string where 100% of those 46 fail. You could also get a string of luck where 100% of those 46% all hit. Probably not real likely. but it could happen because that's the nature of using a seed with an RNG. It's a set sequence. Um, what I try to do is kind of mix and match things up to give myself the placebo effect, give myself that adrenaline high, and it doesn't always work. And I hear other crafters do the same thing that aren't going perhaps into the RNG nature of things, but they'll say, man, I blew up 5 things at 95%. I'm done for the frickin' day. And they won't craft. They won't try to make exceptional. They won't try to enchant. They won't try to do whatever they're doing until the next day. And what's happening there is they've reset their seed. Again, I haven't identified exactly what the seed is in this game, but that's what happened is they reset their seed, or their seed was exactly at that moment in time of its string of numbers to where it started generating things that were successes. It's hard to tell which way or the other. Now, for the fastest adrenaline rush, or the feeling of being in control of your fate when faced with an RNG, that's where I look to trying to reset my RNG seed. Could be for the better, it could be for the worse, but it makes me feel like I'm in control of something rather than everything happens based on this one thing, and everything, the string of events beyond that, is because of that seed. I know it sounds crazy, but it makes you feel better. It really does. If you feel like you're doing something to change your luck, change your fate, not believing in a predetermined destiny, which is absolutely what happens with the seed, being able to change that seed makes you feel like you're doing these things. And again, kind of gives you the placebo effect of being in control of your character. I hope this didn't freak you guys out or make it sound too weird or the science behind a game, but this is true in every game. Anything that has some type of quote unquote luck, whether it's online poker gambling or a video game like Shroud the Avatar, these things are all going on in the background. So, kind of understanding what's occurring in that background maybe will help you define ways to make you feel more in control. At least that's my purpose. I'm going to do another video or so on this and how I change my luck, quote unquote, perceived luck or placebo effect when I'm crafting. So take care, everybody. Happy hunting and be safe.